Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Monday, Mafia Monday. Set your mood right. I got the laptop open. We're going to go scene by scene through all three novels that I wrote. We're continuing on with the first one, California Gangsters, following our main character, Simon Castro, as he rises through the Los Angeles crime family to start his own crew and then to rise to be very powerful downtown LA. He's been solicited, asked by the Syndicate. The Syndicate is the board of directors that really runs all the crime out in California, out in the West. And he's been asked by the Syndicate to show up to their office building, the big black building. It's the big black office building downtown. So let's just jump into it. I got Mr. Snubby loaded as usual. Set your mood right for some mafia stories. We're picking up right where we left off. Mafia Monday. I broke the awkward silence after a minute and said, "So, if everyone is done sizing me up, will someone tell me why I'm up here? Did I do something to piss you guys off or something?" Diego Campos of the Mexican Mafia smiled and said, "You're very suspicious of us, huh? I like that quality in a man. It shows me that you're a lion like I am, and not a sheep. We don't eat with sheep. No, amigo, we eat them." Ivan Brovich of the Russian Mafia set his cigar in the ashtray in front of him, and he said in his deep Russian accent, "Simon, we have had a special meeting just before you came in regards to your membership on this board. We have collectively decided that it is best for you, a Castro with such a famous name, to take your grandfather's chair on the board. Welcome to the company, comrade." My father looked at me and said, "Simon, you are worthy of this opportunity. We only take the best of the best on the syndicate. You've passed every single one of our tests. We would be honored to have you and your new breed of downtown gangsters, the DTGs, with us at this table. You will, of course, take your grandfather's chair and fulfill your final destiny." I took out one of my joints from my jacket pocket. I lit it up in front of the men in the room just to see what their response was. I began puffing thick smoke above me into the air and coughing. I coughed for a solid minute and then asked with a red face, "So how much money do I got to pay to get in? I know that's what you want. You want the money now or you want it tomorrow?" The men in the room were in good moods and they all burst into laughter as if I was making some sort of joke. Ivan of the Russian Mafia replied, "Well, it is 1.5 million in cash to sit at this table. If you can make that payment immediately, we would all be happy, but tomorrow is acceptable since it's such short notice for you." I shrugged my shoulders and said, "No problem. I've got that much money laying around the house. I'll have it to you within an hour. That's chump change." My father replied, "Well, why not come to dinner tonight? Your sisters are in town and they'd love to see you. So come over to the house this evening and you can bring the payment with you then." Diego stood up, puffing his chest out and raising his chin in the air like Mussolini. He gazed around the room at his colleagues, nodding his head with pride. He said, "Amigos, a toast to the new the new board member, Simon Castro, the downtown Don." Ivan said, "Simon, I'm sorry to bring this up in front of your father. I do not wish to put either of you on the spot, but we must settle an issue before we finalize your membership here today. I'm sure you understand that your grandfather created this board with one goal: to bring the most powerful mobs from the different ethnic communities of Los Angeles under one governing body in order to avoid the wars between them. You know that we used to war for decades, and now we run everything peacefully. It's all thanks to your grandfather. So you have come up through the LA family, like your father before you. However, he already holds a seat at the table for the Italians, as you can see. You do understand that we only allow one representative from each mob to sit at the table in order to keep the votes fair and balanced. So, I must ask you this, and you must answer honestly. Is your father, Tony Castro, calling the shots for DTG, for the Downtown Gangsters? These are the rumors that everyone is talking about. I looked at my father, and he had the most awkward expression on his face, hoping the cat wouldn't be let out of the bag. He was so close to fulfilling his dreams of taking over the syndicate, he could smell it. Like a terrible poker player at a high-stakes game, he was sure to give away his motives. Everyone was waiting for an answer from me. As I took 2 long puffs off my joint, I replied, well, when I started the DTGs, the Downtown Gangsters, I was under the impression that I was allowed to leave the family, to go out on my own. I think the feeling to let go of me was mutual. I've always been hard-headed and terrible at following my uncle's orders or my father's orders. Isn't that right, Pop? My father gave an eager nod along with a loving chuckle and said, yes, son, you were a horrible soldier, but we love you. I think you've thrived on your own, whereas if you had stayed with us, you would have been no different than your fat, drunk uncle. I stood up, towering over the other men at the table, making them all look like children with my size. With the joint in the corner of my mouth, I replied, all right, thanks for this opportunity, fellas. I got stuff to do. I went up to each man at the table, shaking their heads, looking deep in their eyes, and thanking them one by one to show my respect. My father stood up as proud as he'd ever been and said, bravo, Simon. Well done, my boy. Ivan poured shots of Big O's famous brand whiskey. We slammed down the liquor, and my membership interview was done. Diego said, mira, amigo, we dress to impress in this company. Please show up here next week for your very first board meeting in something other than your workout clothing. You will also need to appoint an acting boss to your DTGs. You are now off the grid. We operate from the shadows, and that means to separate yourself from your crew as well as the illegal rackets you run. My father said, Simon, we're in a very tough time right now with the feds and with the enemy, whom you have unfortunately already had to deal with. I must be honest. This little love session of ours today will be over by next week's meeting. We will need to get right down to business when you come back. We all engaged in a brief session of small talk about my recent wedding. The big question on everyone's mind was if I had any plans to have kids. When it was time to leave, my father pulled me aside over to the windows and gave me a long hug. He said softly in my ear, we did it, kid. All right, let's just stop there. Thanks for watching.